Hey guys, welcome back to your Turbo Force podcast. I'm SD001, and there's Turbo 18 here, and
Hey,
we've got Snaps 220 with us as well. So
Yay.
today, unlike the last podcast, we've actually got a topic. It is health and fitness. Isn't that right, Turbo?
yes. I felt that it'd be an okay topic to talk about since a lot of activity about that has been coming up, at least in my life recently. So I thought it'd be something that we could talk about at length.
Gotcha. Well, do you want to elaborate on how it's come up in your life recently?
Sure. So up here at La Tech, I've got a few friends. My former roommate, he is now like a fitness junkie. He, when he first roomed with me last year, he pretty much got the freshman 15, except it was more like about 40 pounds. He ended up gaining a lot of weight, especially over the wintertime. But then later on, he started losing a little bit of weight, and he was determined to get back and fit. And now he's no longer my roommate, and he's back to uh, the way he was in high school, and he does a lot of things now. Like, do you guys know what GNC is?
GNC? No.
Yeah. Okay,
No.
well, I didn't know either until earlier this week. It's a fitness store thing. It's like where you get a bunch of products that are supposed to increase your metabolism, pump up, basically stuff to pump you up before you go and do a workout and stuff. So like, he likes to do a lot of running. Like, he's got a 5K that he's gonna do tomorrow morning. He goes bike riding. He does like 20 to 30 mile bike rides every couple of days. He's just really active now. Like, that's a totally different side of him that I had seen of him last year when I was roommates with him. He was a lot more lazy. So yeah,
Yeah, I was kind of the same way. I mean, I'm active, go to the gym, play basketball, and been on intramural teams. But I was kind of the same way, I guess, freshman year. I was active, but not that much. But recently, I have been running every night, being active, being outside more than I used to be, that's for sure. Because you can, as much as you try not to get that freshman 15, you do. And you can't really help but accept to be active. Especially since you've got, at least over here, cafeteria is maybe a minute walk away from my dorm. And they serve you a lot of really fatty foods.
Nastiness.
Yeah, like I love pizza, and they have pizza over there. It's not the best pizza. It's kind of hit or miss, really.
Miss?
And oftentimes it is miss. But I eat that all the time, and I'm pretty skinny, but I know I have been gaining weight, so I'm trying to change that, and it's tough. It is. But at the same time, it feels really good to get out and be active.
yeah. I mean, I haven't been active in working out and stuff for a very, very long time. I would have spurs that maybe lasted a couple of weeks, but I mean, I look at myself and I mean, I'm not uh, I'm not extremely fit or anything like that. I'm not a prime example, but I'm happy with the way I am. But I just am not very active. I just haven't been in a very long time. But I've also not letting it get to a point to where I just keep gaining weight. I've always stayed pretty stagnant for a good while now. I guess I was just a lot more active when I was younger, but those days are long gone now. So I
Yeah.
was talking about my former roommate earlier, but also my current roommate. He's just now starting to get into fitness too. So it just seems like everyone around me is just starting to become a lot more aware of being active. So he and his girlfriend are now going and running together and doing stuff like that. So that's just it's just weird. It's like everyone at once is starting to, everyone around me is just starting to become active with exercise and uh, eating right and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, when I was back in elementary school, elementary middle school, and a little bit in the high school. I definitely had some weight, but then I joined the marching band, and much to my surprise, I lost everything. Like I got so skinny, and I had a lot of. Uh, I was had a lot of endurance, and um, I wasn't lazy. I didn't feel very just very out of energy. I could always get up and do things, and it was fun. But once you got into college, I kind of declined just because, well, you've got a lot more to do than go after school, go immediately to band practice for 2.5 hours, and go out marching, which is actually much more a physical activity than you think. Because back when I did parades, one parade season, we would march. I believe the statistic was around 50-ish miles in a single parade season,
Mm.
which is only 6 parades. So we marched a good bit. And it's not just marching because we would dance to percussion songs, the songs the drums played when we weren't playing our instruments. So we were constantly moving, and it really got us into shape too. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So I guess looking at a bigger picture, every once in a while you see in the news they talk about so-called obesity epidemic that's going on in the United States,
Uh-huh.
and I had watched this documentary. It was called I'll have to remember the name later on, but I we live in Louisiana, and that is proclaimed as one of the highest obesity rates in the
Isn't it
country.
like 49?
It's one of the highest ones. But I just find that a little bit weird, like, because I don't know, it just doesn't seem like I see that many obese people around here, and like it just kind of doesn't make sense since this state's a lot more rural and there's a lot more blue collar jobs where people are gonna have to do physical labor. You know, it just kind of doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't correlate to me, and if I could just remember that documentary name. Um, anyways, let's see if I can think of it later. Anyways, when I watched that documentary, it made a lot of sense to me, and I think it had a lot of truth in it. It was saying that the obesity epidemic isn't exactly as serious as some news outlets like to say it is. Um, it said in there that I think around in the 90s that the the health department of the government, whatever that was, wanted to base fitness, like how healthy a human being is, by the body mass index, the BMI, which it's a very simple calculation. It's just weight over height, I believe. I think that's the only thing that shows what your body mass index is, and apparently that's supposed to show it whether or not you're healthy. And basically, they were explaining how there could be some flaws with that, just how, especially with the common known fact that muscle weighs more than fat, like someone who that works out a lot and just has really big muscles could actually end up being on the obesity side of that scale just because the muscles make them weigh so much more.
Well, I think they've got they have 2 different BMI scales. They got one for people that aren't athletic, and then another one for people that are. So there actually are 2 different BMI scales. I know that. I know there's at least 2.
Yeah. They were explaining that in the mid 90s, that they had actually changed the definition of the BMI scale of like the number of whatever it is. It was something in it ended up causing the amount of obesity in America to actually spike just because they had made that little bit of change, and for whatever reason, that's what they decided to do. And they were speculating in that documentary that they were using it to promote other types of food products. The whole grain, whole wheat stuff that you see everywhere nowadays. All these different diets that they've got going on. And so, like, they were speculating that it was something that was purposely done to make numbers, seem bad when, there may be flawed statistics in there, and to convince people to buy into this other type of stuff, like a big scam.
Yeah.
So,
I'm actually looking up right now to see where Louisiana is as far as obesity, and we are number 45 in the country, with 31% on the dot being obese. That's about 1 in every 3 people.
Right. See, and when I look around here, I just don't really see 1 out of 3.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't see that much. This is 2 years old.
Like,
it's 2010. That's not.
That was the first thing that they brought in that documentary. They're like, they just were walking around the streets and stuff. Which whenever they talk about obesity in the news, the camera's always looking at obese people. But this guy's just like walking around normally in the streets, just with the camera in front of him and stuff. And you're just saying it just does not look like 1 out of 3 to 1 out of 4 people are obese on this sidewalk or this street, stuff like that. And so I mean, it made a lot of sense to me. I thought that maybe some of that may have been true. I'm actually taking a statistics class right now, and it's pretty amazing how different data can look just from a very slight change in how you order the data. It can really make a big change.
Yeah, I remember one of my high school teachers. I don't remember which one it was, but maybe it was Lagarbo. Might have been Mr. Lagarbo. He said that you could really make numbers do whatever you want, and it could still mean the same thing.
Right. That's why
know how
that quote. There's lies, damn lies, and statistics.
Mm-hmm.
Makes a lot more sense when you take a statistics course. Why that's true.
Yeah. Snaps, do you have any thoughts on this? You've kind of been quiet.
The food in Louisiana is awesome, and people are going to eat it. It may not be the healthiest, but it's the best. And that's what I have to add.
Louisiana is known for having good food. I don't see it. I mean, I guess because I'm not a seafood person, and it's probably the whole pride of Louisiana.
Eat seafood. It's delicious.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not a seafood person.
it is generally known that since it's where Cajuns are from, and that Cajuns tend to like a lot more flavoring in their food than other cultures. So that's just one of the things we're known for. So then, calories come in and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, it looks like Colorado's got 21% obesity rate, and the smallest. What is that? 1 in every 5?
1 every 5.
1 every
almost.
5.
Yeah.
Yep.
It just, I don't know. I'm not really seeing it. I just don't see 1 out of every 3 of people that walk by me every day that are obese. It just doesn't seem that way to me.
I mean,
So,
do you think that something needs to be done? Like,
well, I do believe that there is more overweight people. The difference in lifestyle due to technology allows us to do a lot more things without having to do physical labor anymore. And, so, yeah, it's definitely true that there's a lot more, overweight people. I would not be surprised by that. But it just seems like as much as society puts advertisements up about, making it such a high demand for people to look good and stuff, like, I really do feel like that, gets into people's minds and their conscience that they need to be fit and look good and feel better about themselves and stuff. So I feel like a lot of people, do take that to their advantage, and that it's not as big of a deal as some people state.
do you think, because there are advertisements, people people are always falling susceptible to advertisements, whether you know it or not, consciously, unconsciously.
Right.
There's always advertisements about people that you see someone in a magazine that looks good in some clothes, or these people that are maybe bodybuilders, or they're advertising for some new kind of some new, I don't know, workout object. I'm at a loss for words. But you see people that are like, you should look like this and not this. Or do you think people feel kind of pressured to look a certain way because of the public image?
Yeah, I mean, I think that especially goes towards women too. It seems like they get the biggest amount of advertising that goes to them. Like,
yeah, it seems like they fall criticism to advertising the most. But do you think that because they feel like they have to look a certain way, they have to wear a certain size, that might actually make them more overweight?
No.
Do you think it would have the inverse effect at all?
No, I don't really see why it would. What do you think?
I'm not quite sure. Snaps, do you,
Wait,
any
what
comments?
was the question?
Well, in advertisements, you see, well, specifically advertisements that are targeted for women, you see these girls that are skinny, and they've got like these small sizes that they're wearing, and it kind of comes off as, you should look like this. Do you get that feeling from advertisements, and do you feel like it kind of pressures you to look a certain way, or?
I do, but I feel like they should be promoting more health than skinny, because a lot of girls that look that way got there unhealthy, like did things to their bodies and stuff that's not good for them. And all those makeup ads and stuff, that's not what the model looks like. They've been through Photoshop, and their face is not that perfect. Their eyes have been enlarged, their eye color can be changed. You do so much with Photoshop. And on those weight loss exercise commercials, it always says in the corner in tiny print, results not typical. So, yeah. I'm just saying, like, I know it drives people crazy, but I wish they wouldn't, I think it doesn't help humanity. I think it hurts it. Because it makes you have a worse image of yourself. Like, why can't I ever look like that? And you never can, because it's not real.
Yeah, that is an excellent point. It certainly, it gives you something to strive for, but at the same time, that goal isn't exactly realistic. And in turn, it kind of puts down your own self-esteem, your self-confidence, which can affect a lot. So, that is really true. So, that'll be the end of our podcast. Next, we'll try to make this a weekly thing, and instead of just talking about random things like we did the first one, we tended to be a bit more concentrated in the second one for this podcast, and we kind of like it to be a thing where it's laid back and it's fun and enjoyable to listen to, but at the same time, we kind of want to be a voice for the community, so to speak. Like, we want you guys to give us questions that we can answer, and we can talk about conspiracies, problems, anything that you have going on in your mind, that hopefully we can inform the community about and just kind of bring it to light. So if you guys have any sort of questions or topics or anything that you'd like to hear on the show, please feel free to leave a comment in the little box at the bottom. But besides that, we would love to continue doing this and to continue having you guys listen. It means a lot. So, I am SD001.
I'm Turbo18.
I'm Snaps.
You guys have anything you want to say before we end off here?
No, I'm good.
Thank y'all for having me.
Thank you for joining us, Snaps. So, we will do another podcast in the future. Stay tuned.